I'm so excited for our diving session today, and I'm here with Nabil, who's going to be telling us about what we're going to see. It's a very, very special fish. Quite a big fish.
Nurse shark.
Yeah, nurse shark.
So first we are going for the nurse shark to Diggiri Resort, near Diggiri Resort. We will snorkel with the shark. In the surface, they will stay in the surface. We will snorkel with them, and we will come back to Alimata Resort. We will snorkel with the shark in underwater.
Wow.
Like deep, they will sleep in the sandy bottom.
Wow, so do they just lie on the bottom?
Yeah.
And relax? It's like a shark slumber party that we're inviting ourselves to.
You can also sleep with them.
Yeah. Feel like a nap, so we're gonna have that. So we're so excited. We're doing 2 nurse shark dive spots. It's very unique to have something like this, and of course the Maldives offers this. So we're heading out. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience that we're very fortunate to be having the opportunity to free dive with them as well. And should we be scared of nurse sharks?
No, they are so friendly.
So I'm excited to see them. They're just gentle fish. They do have teeth, but they're very little teeth.
Yeah, but sometimes you will get scared because they come really close to you.
Wow. Okay, well, let's see that.
Can you tell us about the size of them that we might see in the
Like 2 to 3 feet.
Okay.
It's really big. 3, 4.
Oh, meters, you mean? 2 to 3 meters?
2 to 3
oh,
meters.
Wow, okay. Yeah, that is pretty big. So they are substantial. I think the nurse sharks that I've seen before are quite small, so these guys are big.
They are like big, small, small, small too.
Wow, so you can see the whole range.
Yeah.
So really exciting. Hopefully they'll be there. Do you think we'll definitely see them?
For sure. 100%
Okay, well,
sure.
that's good. That's also very rare. There's not much underwater that you can guarantee that you'll see. But this is a guarantee that we will see some nurse sharks today.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Welcome all to Divestream number 5 out of 6. One before the last. This is Divestream with Cinnamon in association with Visit Maldives, the sunny side of life. Closing the weekend off with a very special dive sites much rather. We are back at this beautiful Cinnamon Velifushi. A couple of minutes off Cinnamon Velifushi, 2 sites we're covering. That's namely Diggiri and Alimata. As always with me in the studio is
So
Nishan
we have arrived
and
here at the
Mukti.
nurse shark dive spot number 1.
Yes. So we are actually surrounded by nurse sharks right now. So we're going to get in and say hi to them. Really excited. They look beautiful. They're like a browny, bronzy color. And I'm sure they'll look even better underwater.
The skin like sparkles. It also changes color.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful skin. It's different than other shark skin, isn't it, though?
Yeah, so nurse shark's skin is smooth, unlike other sharks, which is like very rough, smooth one way and then rough the other way. And that is actually evolution from teeth, which is so interesting with shark skin. But nurse sharks are smooth, and I'm sure I'm going to get some great close-up shots to show that to you. So you'll get to see it. So I'm going to head in. Miles is going to get some drone shots so you can get the perspective of where we are and how many sharks there are. Should be amazing.
Cool, let's do it.
Cool.
Alright, so as I was explaining, we are covering two sites, Diguri and Alimata to be specific. Diguri roughly 10 kilometers from the beautiful Cinnamon Velifushi, and Alimata roughly 17 kilometers. Roughly about a 50 minutes transfer to Diguri, then we just saw Beth on her way there. Some very exciting sightings we're looking for today. It's particularly nurse sharks. And with us, of course, is Nishan, who has extensively dived these sites. He knows a thing or two about this, so perfect person in-house to run us through what we're going to be seeing. Nishan, anything you're looking forward to in particular?
Well, I mean, one of the best places to see nurse sharks. It's very popular for night diving because nurse sharks tend to feed at night. But in this site, of course, they're very friendly. They're used to divers. As you can see from the aerial footage, they're already up on the surface.
I can't wait to show you what's below me. So I'm going to try and slip in very quietly and gently, although I don't think it matters with these sharks, and show you what's below me.
There you go. Nurse sharks right up to the surface, and this is very common. Yeah, they'll basically come up to greet divers, literally.
Just below the surface of the ocean. See, amazing sight.
It doesn't seem too deep, though, these sites, are they?
Yeah,
The sight is deep, but they're on the surface. No,
yeah,
Nishan?
they're not really hanging out on the bottom here. It does get very shallow in parts of the dive site. The boat's actually in a little bit deeper water, but the sharks do have this habit of coming right up to the boat and kind of hanging out around the boat. They'll follow you down to the bottom.
My question is, Nishan, it's an unusual name, nurse shark. Why is that?
Yeah, actually, not too sure. It's not very clear why they are called nurse sharks. Some people think that it's because of kind of the sound they make when they're feeding on the bottom. So these are bottom feeders. They dig up animals under the sand. Let's see what Beth has to say.
That's sucking up gills.
Cleaner. Footage is not very clear.
Yeah, so nurse sharks are bottom feeders. So some people think it's because of the sound they make. It's kind of a suckling sound, but it's not really clear. No one's very sure of why they're called that, but the name stuck, and obviously...
That's right, yeah. And it will be there. It's quite a number here, no? And Nishan, about 25, 30 sharks around.
Yeah,
on the
this
boat.
site, I mean, on a good day, you could see 25, 30, maybe even more sharks, like 40 nurse
Amazing.
sharks, 50 nurse sharks. Especially at night, you see even more.
Okay, time to join Beth.
Miles is entering to the water.
People, of course, have this thought that sharks are often dangerous, carnivorous. You can't swim close to them. The slightest visibility of a human being, and you're gone. Is this necessarily the case? It doesn't seem so with the
Doesn't
footage.
seem, yeah.
In the movies, yes. In reality, no. Very few sharks you would consider as being dangerous to humans, and even then, you can swim and dive with them. Even sharks like tiger sharks that people consider very dangerous. I personally swam and photographed them, and there are places in the world where you can dive with them, even in the Maldives. Nurse sharks are very docile. They're not aggressive at all. They're very friendly and curious, as you can see. Obviously, they're
Very close
right
to
up
the divers, yeah. Look at that. My God.
Oh dear.
Yeah, they're touching us, rubbing the diver.
So they're very used to divers and snorkelers at these both sites that we're going to see today, that they're going to dive in.
They're somewhat habituated, I suppose.
Yeah,
because
they're
the frequent
very
diving,
habituated, and the reality is that in both these sites, dive guides have actually baited them in places where they've chummed the water, so they've
Right.
fed them as well. So they actually are used to humans, and they pick up food scraps, so they're quite habituated to people.
Is that Is that why they keep coming towards boats the moment they come to see them coming across?
Yes,
Yeah.
probably they associate humans with food,
Right.
but not thinking of humans as their
food.
food, as the common misconception is. So nurse sharks, yeah, very, very docile, very curious. But again, like all animals, you should treat them with respect. Their teeth, you heard Beth talking about it earlier about having small teeth, but the teeth are built for crushing. So it's similar to the molars or our back teeth because they eat a lot of shells. So
And part of the
snails.
corals also, no?
Yeah, so they
Sometimes?
kind of crunch on things.
Right.
So it's a grinding kind of feeding. They don't have these sharp teeth that are designed to grab prey.
Got it.
They're not hunting fish that are swimming.
This is Divestream with Cinnamon, episode number 5 out of 6. And unfortunately, the final one with Beth and Miles have done a fantastic job of multiple sites. Today, we are looking at 2 sites, namely Diguri and Alimatha, just off the beautiful Cinnamon Velifushi. We are in association with Visit Maldives, the sunny side of life.
I have noticed something, Nishan. The tail of the shark is disproportionately larger than the other sharks, no?
Yeah, the nurse sharks actually have a very, very large tail. They use that to
Like a
propel
whale tail,
themselves,
yeah.
along the bottom. But doing some underwater meditation and blowing some rings.
Bubbles in rings into the water.
If you got any questions, do drop them in on the comment boxes on YouTube Live as well as Facebook Live. We'll be happy to take them on. Something coming in from Anne Catherine Muller saying, "Good morning. It's been a fantastic holiday from home, courtesy of Cinnamon. Well, and we hope to have you at the resorts very, very soon. And Dive Centers, of course, will assist you with any of your diving needs, as always. A big hi also to Tommy. There's a question, Nishan. Wants to know how long do nurse sharks live for?
These
Difficult to
animals,
say.
if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to be honest and say I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think they can live to 20 to 30 years. But I may be wrong on this. But a lot of marine fish live, even some of the reef fish, the bigger reef fish will live up to 30 years. The smaller ones, like damselfish, maybe 5-6 years.
Right.
But the bigger fish generally can live around
Live
30
longer.
years. So reasonably long lifespan.
So by looking at the color of the ocean, you can see it's a little bit of a deeper side, although the sharks are swing around near to the surface. No, Nishan?
Yeah, so this is just off the edge of the reef into the blue near the
Yeah, you
drop-off.
can see the color of the ocean. Yeah.
The sharks do tend to hang around these areas during the daytime. So at night, what you will find is that these sharks swim closer to the island, into the shallow parts of the reef, and they start feeding on the bottom. So the sandy bottom in the reef lagoon, they start, looking for food. So when you're night diving, you tend to go into those shallow areas. But during the daytime, they tend to hang around these areas. Sometimes, usually, they tend to stay a little bit deep, sleeping under ledges along the reef wall. But of course, here they know that divers are visiting all the time, and they're usually hanging around. And when they hear the sound of a boat, I think it probably triggers them to come up to the surface.
And also, do these sharks are they ever found on their own solo or is always in schools?
Oh yeah. They're always they're found in both as
and
individuals and as schools.
Right.
It's not uncommon at all to find there are common species in the Maldives, but usually you do find them as 1 or 2 sharks. But here in this area, they are known to congregate. I mean, it is partly perhaps because they have been fed, but also there are places where these animals congregate. Maybe the conditions are good, the feeding grounds naturally are good. So while they have been fed, it's not only because of that. The sharks were there. They didn't kind of appear there because of the feeding.
This is Divestream with Cinnamon in association with Visit Maldives, the sunny side of life. Stream number 5 of 6 is what we're at with Beth and Miles. Beautiful sightings. The site is Diguri, just about 10 kilometers, 15 minutes boat transfer from the beautiful Cinnamon Velifushi Maldives. And today's program will be quickly switching off to a different site in a bit. Alimatha being the other site where we look at feeding of the nurse sharks. That's going to be quite interesting sighting.
I think the general question from the public will ask: Is it a good thing to feed sharks, or is it is it controversial?
It is somewhat controversial at times. I think we're just going to go into a break very soon, and
we'll discuss that later.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This has been Divestream with Cinnamon in association with Visit Maldives, the sunny side of life. We'll be right back after a few commercial breaks, perhaps from the new dive site, Alimata. This is Divestream with Cinnamon in association with Visit Maldives, the sunny side of life. We are on stream number 5 out of 6 much rather, from the beautiful Cinnamon Velifushi Maldives. And the first site we just visited was Diguri, just about 10 kilometers off the beautiful resort, 15 minutes speedboat transfer, which the dive center will make sure you have completely taken care of and would ensure that you have a fantastic dive experience. While we wait for Beth and Miles to transfer to the next site, which is Alimata, we had a nice discussion here about basically it was feeding of sharks.
Yeah, that's right. I have raised that to question because there are many places around the world that they are feeding sharks, and it's a part of the tourism attraction also. Just tell us something about it, and we'll discuss that because of the benefit of the viewers.
Yeah, I think the argument has been made from both sides. So one of the positions is that by feeding, you're altering the behavior of these animals, or they are making them habituated to people, so they can put them in danger. Now, you have to put this in context. Obviously, humans kind of changing or influencing the behavior of wild animals is not
Everywhere.
ideal. But you have to be aware that just by our presence, we are altering their behavior. The fact that we have divers in the water or boats, and in many places, the positives of tourism can outweigh the negatives of tourism if it's done well. So when it's done well with feeding, it's not feeding to the extent that you're altering their natural diet. So you're not feeding,
and you're not feeding all the time. No,
exactly.
It's just one part of the day that you just limited feeding. No.
Yeah, that point, Vimukti, is the most important
yeah,
point.
That's right.
That you're not feeding them enough that they depend on humans totally.
That's right.
They still need to hunt. Their natural behavior is
they
there.
will go out to the ocean and hunt. Yeah.
You're just setting up bait to attract the sharks to a place where the divers can see. And the money from tourism, for example, in Maldives, supports conservation. It drives the locals to support marine conservation. It supports research and conservation. Many of the resorts actually sponsor research programs as well. So this is beneficial overall.
For sure. This is Divestream with Cinnamon in association with Visit Maldives, the sunny side of life. We are getting footage coming in from the second site. Just about 10-minute transfer from Diguri. It is Alimata. And I believe Beth is already in the waters. This seems like quite a shallow site, isn't it?
Yeah, this place is they are sitting on the bottom of the ocean, no? And
this is close
sandy
to
bottom.
the Alimata Resort jetty actually.
Yeah.
So the night dive happens very close to the jetty of the resort. So this is in the shallow waters. In most places, it's about 5 meters deep, sandy bottom. So you can see most of them are kind of relaxing.
Yeah, they're sitting on the
seabed, which is what they tend to do most of the time during the day. You know,
and
when they see a diver, they'll interact, but otherwise they sleep half of the time.
There's a big school of fish also, and there's another species of shark. Shark is moving around. Let's see what it was.
There are a few white tip reef sharks and black tip reef sharks that hang around this site. I have done a night dive here some years ago, and it's a fantastic experience when the sharks are very active and feeding. And you have these big giant trevallies kind of cruising through as well. So it's a very, very busy, active site. Even now, you can see
even
how
the
much
daytime
fish
you can see it's very active site.
There are. The sharks are kind of more relaxed at this point. They will be active when divers or snorkelers are around. They'll interact. A few will swim, but they're certainly not going to be as active as nighttime.
Some questions coming in from Anne-Marie Dickerson wants to know, is there a hierarchy amongst nurse sharks?
Not so much with nurse sharks, because those hierarchies tend to be there with animals that are more social in societal structures. So they have like either harems or a male with so many females that they have groups. But here they're just in a place because there is food availability, but it's not because there is a dominant male with female. You can see a black tip reef shark cruising around. So they are diurnal or daytime active sharks, so they will be more active in swimming.
Right. There's another question coming in who wants to know from Anne Catherine Muller. Wants to know if there are other spots for nurse shark sightings, and are they rare or are they easily found, these spots?
Nurse sharks themselves are not rare, but to find nurse sharks in large aggregations like this
is very
rare to uncommon. There are places in the Maldives where you may see them. There are places around the world, but it's not. I mean, this is very special. There's not many places that I'm aware of where you have so many nurse sharks.
And,
in a
and
place.
quite a big number also in a different sizes, the small ones, the medium sized ones, no?
Yeah,
Just
it's
sitting
a
there.
perfect feeding area for them. It's calm conditions for them to rest as well. So all of those kind of combine to be a nice site. So yeah, nurse sharks themselves you will see all around the Maldives, all around the Indian and Pacific Oceans. You will see them when you're diving.
Some comments coming in from Marcus Binting as well as Tommy Gray. Looking forward to seeing you all back again at the beautiful Cinnamon resorts all over the Maldives. And it seems like you guys are dive fanatics, so the dive centers too will be looking forward to seeing you guys again. Beautiful sightings all around. Right now we are at Ali Matha, which is a very popular site for nurse sharks as they rest and feed.
So something important here is there's a big giant trevally. So these guys are really interesting to see at night when they're hunting. So nurse sharks, you will see that they're resting during the daytime. And I think we touched on this in one of the early episodes as well. A lot of sharks need to keep swimming to breathe. So they can't pump water over their gills. So they swim and make the water go over their gills. Nurse sharks
They
have
sit
the
on the
ability to pump water over their gills. So they can move those, gills and they can actually pump water and breathe, which is why they can sit and rest on the bottom.
What's this big school, Nishan? What's
These
this?
are a group of fish called drummers.
Drummers.
They actually are called that because they make a noise with their swim bladder. So fish have an organ called a swim bladder, which basically they regulate the amount of gas in swim bladder, which allows their buoyancy. So for them to be able to float at a constant depth. When you're a diver, divers know that you use your buoyancy compensation jacket or BCD and you pump a bit of air in it or deflate it. So fish basically have an internal mechanism like that called a swim bladder. And they can also make noises with the swim bladder. A lot of fish use that to make noises. The drummers actually make a very, very loud noise.
Is that a self-defense mechanism or?
So
No,
they use
maybe interaction, no?
interaction to communicate. They fish actually have a lot of noise that they use. There's a lot of audio communication. We just don't hear it to human ears.
Because
but
of the different frequency.
for research,
yeah.
if you put a hydrophone and you actually record it, there's a lot of noise. So mating season, they actually send out signals. When they're agitated, they make noise. Sometimes when they're agitated, you can hear it. So drummers, you can. Some of the big angelfish, when you disturb them, you can hear this kind of knocking noise that you hear, and you don't know what it is, but it's actually a fish that's making the noise.
The divers are very close to the nurse sharks, no, Nishan, and they are very relaxing, sitting on the bottom, and then you can approach very slowly. There's a black tip reef shark is moving.
Yeah, so the black tips, for example, they have to keep swimming. So you will find black tips are always swimming. You never see them resting on the bottom like this. Nurse sharks, white tip reef sharks, they don't have to swim. But yeah, as Vimukti mentioned, I mean, this is
Amazing sight.
amazing place. And if you're a photographer, if you want to get
That's right,
close-ups or portraits, face portraits of nurse sharks, it's one of the best places to do that.
There's a question coming in about seasonality of whale sharks. Are they year-round? Because he wants to know if November is a good time to see whale sharks.
You can see whale sharks in November in the Maldives in certain places. The best place is actually around South Maldives. There's an area called Mamigili Island. So that area is very well known for whale sharks. Now there are other places in the Maldives where you see whale sharks. Around March, April tends to be the best time around the Maldives to see whale sharks. But in places like Mamigili, you can see them almost year round.
This is Divestream with Cinnamon in association with Visit Maldives, the sunny side of life. Stream number 5 out of 6 is where we're at right now, just off the beautiful Cinnamon Velifushi Maldives. A site we are at right now is called Ali Matha, roughly about 17 kilometers or 30 minutes transfer straight from the hotel. But from the previous site, it's about 10 minutes, which was Diguri. And the topic of discussion today are, of course, nurse sharks, as you can see.
Yeah, today is all about nurse sharks.
Well, these two dive sites are all about nurse sharks. They're very popular sites for divers. So even all the resorts in the area visit this site. Some of the liverboat dive boats also have this site on Nalimata Jetty as a dive site on the itinerary. You can see the reason why. compared to some of the other dive sites, you don't have the same diversity and coral life and other species of fish. But in terms of interacting with large animals, if you're a photographer wanting to get some beautiful photographs, observing these sharks close up, I mean, it is a fantastic place.
That's right, yeah. These are specialized places, species specialized locations, no?
Yeah.
It's a good point you raise, because obviously right now, as you can see, there are not many other divers in and around. In fact, I think Beth and Miles are perhaps the only divers in the site. But generally, when it is season, as it is quite a popular site, do you reckon that when there's too many divers in the area, it kind of disturbs the sharks? Do they tend to move away?
No,
they'll hang around anyway. Yeah.
these sharks really don't care, and the dive guides do manage the dives. There is I was mentioning
Yeah,
Kalimata
that's right.
jetty, so there's the jetty right there. And the divers, as long as you manage the divers well, and the dive guides have certain protocols, like all these, like we were talking about the mantas the other day, of how you swim, and even when they feed them, it's done only by specialized trained dive guides, and they control the divers and how they interact with the animals. You can see just lying on the bottom.
Yeah, with the nice shark.
They're really not worried about you. So this
No.
is, again, I keep reiterating the beauty of marine life. You can
Yeah.
get really close. There's not many land animals you can have an experience like that. So you're literally like a shark.
Well, that's the
sleeping
beauty.
on
And
the bottom.
that's a part of the diving. No, Nishani, you will become a part of the reef, part of the ocean. Like you will become temporary, you become a fish, shark in
Yeah,
this case.
you have no barriers. You're
Yeah.
not in a safari jeep. You're not observing
That's
from a
right, yeah.
distance. The animals are very curious and very approachable. So you're one with the environment, which is always fantastic, even with these very large animals. I mean, these sharks can be 3 meters long, the big ones.
Right.
So they're quite big. So here you will find, if you look, sometimes depends on the visuals, you might see both male and female sharks. So something interesting with sharks is that
I think the Beth is pointing at something. The three
There's
sharks
three
are
sharks
sleeping
kind of
together, like
piled up,
huddled together. Yeah,
this is a behavior you often see in
you
caves
can
and
see a
ledges,
little one. Oh, yeah.
where they pile up on each other, but here even in the sand.
You can see there are three. Yeah, there's a little one also in the middle. Maybe a little family.
How do you tell them apart, the males and the females in sharks?
So male sharks have two organs called claspers. So on the bottom along their belly, they have two claspers, which and the females don't have
Right.
claspers. So it's very, very easy to tell them apart visually, but you do need to see the underside.
Underside of the
Yeah.
From
shark,
this angle,
yeah.
you won't
It's quite tough to kind of
be able
work
to
out,
see.
yeah.
But if you're under a shark swimming over you, you can clearly see the claspers.
They're having a good time, very relaxed.
Probably
Look at
having a rest before
Yeah.
playing with the divers on the night dive.
The little one is super relaxed.
Divestream with Cinnamon, in association with Visit Maldives, the sunny side of life. This is stream number 5 out of 6. The dive site is Alimata. We are just about 70 kilometers of the beautiful Cinnamon Velifushi Maldives.
Just talk about that special two parts in I don't know what it called, Nishan. That the little thing, like it looks like a teeth, but it's not teeth. no?
The two barbels.
Yeah, two barbels.
Yeah, so those are part of their sensory organs. I mentioned the other day about goatfish having something similar. So because they are hunting for prey under the sand, often,
okay.
buried prey, basically these are able to, they
Detect
have
it,
electromagnetic
detect, yeah.
receptors. They can, detect other animals sleeping under the sand. Like I mentioned the other day, some of the wrasses, some of the fish actually sleep under the sand. Some of the shells and crabs are hiding under the sand, so they can actually pick it up.
This site has quite a large number of nurse sharks, unlike the other place. No, they're all over the place.
This is a very
one of the
famous
best
site
places,
in the Maldives. I mean, it's very popular. Not just in the Maldives. I think within dive circles, there's been featured on lots of dive magazines around the world and documentaries. It's a very well-known dive site. It's very popular. I think it's fantastic to have the site to yourself. It's not
Without
often
any more
that
divers,
you
yeah.
not see anyone
Yeah.
else. It can get busy, but the dive shops also tend to kind of find spots between, because the animals are there right through the day. So a lot of the
So you
dive
don't have
shops
to rush
tend
around
to
and then,
tend to coordinate with each other and kind of
Cool.
have shifts where they do, so that everyone isn't diving at the same time, because that's a little bit difficult for all the people to get good sightings. But you have to be aware that during busy season you are likely to see a few other divers in the water. So the advantage of traveling these days is that you probably have
avoid the overcrowding, no? Zero.
less people in the water.
Yeah. You have your private dive, I guess.
It's also more popular for the night dive, so the daytime you tend to have less visitation. So it's still nice because you don't see the sharks as active as at night. But if you want to photograph them and just have a very relaxed experience, it's really nice. I think sometimes I would say it's even better than the night dive because it's very peaceful and you can do a different style of photography and interaction with the animals.
Yeah, by using the daylight, I mean, this is not very deep. Depth is not that, it's not that deep. So the daylight photography is very good. You don't need artificial lights to photograph these guys.
As we are speaking of night dives, just a reminder that the very final dive stream, which is going to happen on Tuesday, is actually going to be a night dive. The only night dive we will be featuring, because obviously capturing on camera is going to be a little bit difficult, but we're going to try our best. And that will be coming to you off the beautiful house reef of Elaidu. And if you know the specific time, it's going to be 8:30 p.m. Maldives time. That is GMT plus 5 hours, and 8:30, and in UK it'll be 5 hours just behind that. So 3:30 p.m. in UK.
So this dive site actually has, I mentioned you have the white tip reef sharks, black tip reef sharks. We haven't seen any white tips today during this, but during the night dives you will see them. Black tips are very common. The giant trevallies, you saw a couple there today. You usually see a few more at night. They're very active as well. Stingrays as well during the night times here.
Stingrays,
You will see the marble rays that we saw yesterday also feeding in this area. So some of the animals, so the nurse sharks are here all the time, but some of the other animals are in the surrounding areas, and during the night they come into the shallows, and even some of the nurse sharks that are not here, sitting in deeper water, will move into the shallows to feed at night.
Do these schools of the bigger species kind of are they okay to kind of be in and amongst each other in the same space?
Yeah, so they have different niches. So the nurse sharks are hunting different prey to, say, the black tip reef sharks, the giant trevallies. So they all have a little kind of a role or a niche in the ecosystem and the food web, and they are fairly tolerant. None of them are predators of large animals. So their prey are either things like shells and invertebrates or small fish.
Got it.
But for example, if you had a large shark like a tiger shark appear in the area, then most of the small sharks will actually disappear because they become prey for a tiger shark as well.
Right. And during your dives, have you ever seen that happen where they actually turn into prey?
Not at this site, but I have seen tiger sharks, and let me tell you, when a tiger shark arrives, even the other sharks do tend to keep there with it. They don't disappear, but they kind
Just
of
stay
move
away
off to
from
the
the
edges.
yeah.
Even large sharks like bull sharks, which are actually about 3 meters long.
Right.
But when a 6 meter long tiger shark appears, the bull sharks kind of just cruise out to the edges, just to pay respect. The tiger
Yeah.
shark wouldn't be actively hunting them, but
When the big boys come, the small boys just get
yeah, the 3 meter shark becomes a small shark and just gives the big one a space.
I'm sure there's an intimidation also from this, size and the aggressiveness and their behavioral patterns and things like that. No, Nisha?
Yeah, and sometimes it's not just prey. Sometimes if they're competing animals,
Yeah,
if they're
exactly.
competing for the same prey, there is territoriality of animals as well. So that's the other thing with humans. So sharks don't naturally consider humans as prey, nor do they find us as competitors for their prey.
Right.
So because of that, we are generally not, at the receiving end of aggressive interactions. Whereas a shark might be more aggressive towards another shark that it considers a competitor. So you see the little golden
the yellow colored fish.
So those are juvenile golden trevallies. Golden trevallies obviously for the color with the black bars. When they grow big, they don't really have the same pattern. They become more silvery like the other trevallies. But the juvenile golden trevallies often hang around other large fish, whether it's sharks, sometimes turtles, stingrays. So they use the other animal as shelter or protection from predators. So they're too fast for the sharks to actually catch them if they wanted to. They're very, very nimble, very quick movers, but they'll kind of hang around the sharks so that no other big fish, like a big giant trevally, might eat them, but they can't get at them when they're hiding under the shark or around the shark.
This is Divestream with Cinnamon in association with Visit Maldives, the sunny side of life. We are on stream number 5 out of 6. Unfortunately, the final stream with Beth and Miles, who have been absolutely fantastic, capturing some of the most beautiful underwater footage that I have ever seen personally. And the final one will be with Akash back again. We will be going back to Elaidu, Maldives, where we have the beautiful house reef. And that's going to be a night dive, which I'm quite excited for, because I've never seen night dive footage.
Yeah, it's
Different,
different.
no?
Vimukti, I'm sure you've done a couple night dives in your life.
Very few.
But it's quite interesting because your field of vision is more limited, obviously, because
Footage
you
is
can
also very limited. Yeah.
see only limited area, but it's a fun experience, and you also
It
of
is.
course have animals that you don't see during the daytime, or behave even the animals you
Behaviorals,
see in
yeah,
the
the
daytime
interactions, yeah, it's
is
going to be different.
very different. So let's see what we see, what we can get to see on the next episode.
A message coming in from Tina Jones, who wants to know if you book at the resort, can you get this experience? Of course you can. All you got to do is just head down to the dive center by Dive and Sail, and they'll be more than happy to assist you with arranging of these beautiful scuba as well as free diving sites with all the assistance you need.
Beth is just sitting right next to the nurse sharks.
It still
at
fascinates
that.
me that Beth can hold her breath for
Exactly,
6 minutes and just stay there
Yeah,
so
she's-
casually for 6 minutes.
Champion free diver.
Yes,
No-
so the world record, I think, for what we call static apnea, or someone holding your breath without swimming, is something like 8 minutes.
My God.
So Beth is, I think, the South African record holder. I mean, 6 minutes is way more than any one of us
Yeah.
could come close to, which is still phenomenal. That is, at 6 minutes, you're seriously in the competitive free diving category of people.
Right.
Only people who are doing competitive free diving would be able to do that.
And the flippers come off. Well, we're going to say thanks to Beth and Miles. It's been absolutely fantastic having them during the past streams. They've caught some fabulous content for us and really showcased the beautiful world beyond our eyes under the waters.
Yeah, they just cruise around. Being nurse sharks.
And that's the beauty of some of these footages. No, Nishan, the layperson can, I mean, how many people can come to the Maldives or go underneath in the ocean to see these things? But by bringing these footages, you can watch and enjoy from your couch, and appreciate the beauty of nature. No?
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity for people to interact with marine life, very easily. But I think if you do decide to make it over the Maldives, if you've never been before, I'm sure if you've already been, you'll definitely want to go again. But if you haven't been, it's I think a great place to learn diving or try diving if you never have done
For
it
sure.
before.
And as Beth and Miles head back to the beautiful resort of Cinnamon Velifushi Maldives, we're going to bid you farewell for this particular one. This has been episode number 5 out of 6. Dive stream with Cinnamon in association with Visit Maldives, the sunny side of life. We'll be back again one last time, last but not the least for sure, because it's going to be a night dive on Tuesday the 23rd with Akash, aka Wander with Sky, where we'll be taking on the house reef at Elaidu. Another beautiful site, and timings wise, that is going to be at 8:30 p.m. Maldives time, that is GMT plus 5 hours, and 3:30 p.m. in UK. Till next time, stay safe and take care.